She'll be dead by Friday, Mark. The old woman will never see it coming. I froze in room 311, my hand clamped over my mouth, listening to my son-in-law Gerald Hirschberger through the thin hospital wall. He was talking about killing my daughter Roberta, my only child, the daughter I gave up everything for. I've been crushing the pills into her orange juice for 3 weeks, he continued, and then he laughed. Tonight, I'll finish it. Then everything the old woman inherited is mine. The house, the business, all $380,000. My legs almost gave out beneath me. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. But before I tell you how I ended up hiding in this hospital room listening to my daughter's murder being planned, subscribe so you don't miss what happened next. Because what I discovered was far worse than I ever imagined. And here's my question for you. If you overheard someone plotting murder, would you confront them immediately or gather evidence first? Let me know in the comments, because what I chose to do changed everything. Let me tell you how we got here. My name is Eleanor Patterson, and 4 hours before I found myself hiding in that hospital room, I got the call that shattered my world. It was Mercy General Hospital calling about my daughter, Roberta, 42 years old, admitted with organ failure, unknown cause, critical condition. The nurse's voice on the phone was professional, but urgent. Mrs. Patterson, your daughter was brought in by ambulance approximately 2 hours ago. Her condition is serious. You need to come immediately. I dropped the phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely pick it up again to ask which room, which floor, what was happening. But the nurse had already moved on to the next call. All I knew was that my baby was dying and I needed to get to her. I drove through Boston streets in a complete panic, my heart hammering so hard I thought it would burst through my chest. I ran 3 red lights. I didn't care. Every second felt like an eternity. My granddaughters, Emma and Sophie, 7 and 9 years old, were at my house with a babysitter. Before I left, Emma had looked up at me with her scared little face, her bottom lip trembling, and asked, "Grandma, is Mommy okay? Is she coming home tonight?" I couldn't answer her. My throat closed up completely. I just kissed her forehead, tasting her strawberry shampoo, and ran out the door. Sophie had grabbed my hand as I left, squeezing it tight, her 9-year-old eyes too knowing, too afraid. She didn't ask any questions. She just held on, and I had to pull away. The drive to Mercy General felt like it took forever, and no time at all. My mind was racing through every terrible possibility. Roberta had been tired lately, pale, losing weight. I'd asked her about it just last week. "Mum, I'm fine," she'd said, waving me off. "Just busy with the bakery and the girls. Gerald's been making me fresh juice every morning. He's taking such good care of me." Gerald, her devoted husband, the man who insisted on making her breakfast, who brought her vitamins, who seemed so concerned about her health. When I burst through those hospital doors, the fluorescent lights were blinding. The smell of antiseptic hit me like a wall. I didn't stop at the information desk. I just ran to the elevators, punched the button for the 3rd floor, and practically clawed at the doors until they opened. Room 312. That's what the nurse had said. Room 312. I found it at the end of the corridor, my legs moving faster than my mind could process. But when I reached for the door handle, a doctor I had never seen before physically blocked my path. His hands gripped my shoulders firmly, almost painfully. "Mrs. Patterson, stop," he whispered urgently, his face inches from mine. "You cannot go in there yet. Hide in this room. Stay silent. Trust me. Your daughter's life depends on what you're about to hear." I stared at him, confusion and panic warring in my chest. What are you talking about? That's my daughter in there. She's dying and I need... I know. He cut me off, his voice low and intense. And if you go in there right now, she will die. Please, Mrs. Patterson. Trust me. Something in his desperate eyes made me obey. There was fear there, and urgency, and something else I couldn't quite name. Knowledge. Terrible knowledge. I didn't question him. I didn't argue. He pulled me into the empty room next door, room 311, and positioned me against the wall that separated me from my daughter. Listen, he breathed. Just listen. That's when I heard Gerald's voice, clear as poison through the thin barrier. He was talking to someone, his tone casual, almost cheerful. And my entire world collapsed. But to understand why what I heard destroyed me so completely, you need to know what that fortune Gerald mentioned represents. You need to know what it cost me. You need to know the price I paid for every single dollar he was planning to steal. I am the daughter of the Whitmore dynasty. Real estate, shipping, hotels across New England. Old money. The kind of wealth that came with expectations, rules, and an iron cage wrapped in silk. I grew up in a mansion with 12 bedrooms, attended cotillions and charity galas, wore designer dresses that cost more than most people's monthly rent. My life was planned from birth. The schools I would attend, the clubs I would join, the man I would marry. Everything was decided. Everything was controlled. When I was 20 years old, I fell in love with John Olson. He was a construction worker on one of my father's projects, helping to renovate one of our properties downtown. Handsome, charming, with calloused hands and a smile that made my heart race. He was completely unacceptable to my family, working class, no pedigree, no connections, no future, according to my father. We met in secret for 6 months, coffee shops in neighborhoods where no one knew my name, long drives to beaches outside the city, stolen moments that felt more real than anything in my carefully constructed life. When I got pregnant, I knew what was coming. I walked into my father's study with my head held high and told him the truth. His face turned purple with rage. My mother cried. My father gave me an ultimatum that I can still hear in his cold, disgusted voice, every syllable dripping with contempt. Terminate the pregnancy and marry the Preston boy, or you're no longer a Whitmore. You'll be cut off completely. No trust fund, no inheritance, no family. You'll be dead to us. I looked at my mother, hoping for support, for understanding. She turned away. I chose love. I chose my baby. I chose John. My father disowned me on the spot. He cut off my trust fund, my inheritance, everything. He had the lawyers draw up papers that very day, removing me from the family trust, from the will, from every legal document that tied me to the Whitmore name. I walked out of that mansion with nothing but the clothes on my back, a small bag of personal belongings, and a man who promised forever. John and I got married at City Hall. No white dress, no reception, no family, just us and 2 strangers as witnesses. He promised we'd build a life together. That love was enough, that we'd be happy. John left me 6 months after Roberta was born. I woke up one morning to feed the baby and found a note on the kitchen table. I can't do this. I'm sorry. That was it. No explanation. No forwarding address. He just vanished. Couldn't handle the responsibility of fatherhood and a wife who came with no money and a mountain of shame. Suddenly, I was a single mother with no family, no money, no support. I was 21 years old, alone with a baby in a 1-room apartment with peeling wallpaper and a landlord who banged on the door every month demanding rent. I was working 3 jobs just to keep us fed. Waitressing at a diner during the day, cleaning office buildings at night, and taking in sewing on the weekends. For 24 years, I didn't speak to my family. 24 years of struggling, scraping by, raising Roberta in tiny apartments, while my family lived in luxury just 15 miles away. I would sometimes drive past the old mansion, just to see it, just to remember. Roberta would press her face against the car window and ask, "Who lives there, Mommy?" And I would say, "Nobody important, sweetheart," and drive away with tears in my eyes. 24 years of my daughter asking, "Why don't I have grandparents like other kids? Why don't they want to meet me? Did I do something wrong?" And me having no answer that didn't break both our hearts. Roberta grew up watching me work doubles at the diner, coming home exhausted and smelling like grease and coffee. She watched me leave for night shifts at the hospital, wearing my cleaning uniform, my hands raw from chemicals. She watched me work weekends at my sewing machine, hemming pants and fixing torn jackets for neighbours who paid in cash or casseroles. She never complained. She never asked for the toys other kids had, the birthday parties at fancy venues, the trips to Disney World. She just studied hard, got scholarships, and dreamed of one day helping me rest. She'd tell me, "When I grow up, Mommy, I'm going to buy you a big house and you'll never have to work again." That little girl, who promised to take care of me, was now lying in a hospital bed, 20 feet away, being poisoned by the man who promised to love her. Then, 2 years ago, everything changed. I was 64, Roberta was 40. My mother tracked me down because my father, Charles, had stage 4 cancer and was asking for me. I almost didn't go. 24 years of silence, of being erased, of raising my daughter alone while they lived in comfort. But something made me walk into that hospice room. My father took my hand with his frail fingers and cried. "Eleanor, I was wrong," he said. "I threw away 24 years with you and my granddaughter because of pride and prejudice. I never even met her, never met my great-granddaughters. Forgive me. Please." He lasted 6 more months. 6 months where he got to meet Roberta, Emma, and Sophie. 6 months where my mother Victoria held my hand and apologized for not fighting harder for me. 6 months of reclaiming what was stolen. When he died, the will shocked everyone. He left me everything. The family mansion is worth $180,000. The Whitmore family bakery business is worth $200,000. $380,000 total. His letter said, "Give Roberta the life I stole from you. This is her birthright. She should never have struggled because of my mistakes." So last year, on Roberta's 41st birthday, I did exactly that. I transferred the mansion deed to her name. I signed over the bakery business that had been in our family for 3 generations. Everything. Roberta cried and held her daughters close. "Mum, this is too much. You earned this. You reconciled with Grandpa. This is yours." "It should have been yours from birth," I told her, signing the final papers in the lawyer's office. "You and Emma and Sophie deserve security, deserve the legacy that was stolen from us." Gerald was there, smiling, so supportive. "Mum, Eleanor, this is incredibly generous. Don't worry, I'll help Roberta manage everything. The business, the property, all of it. You've sacrificed enough. You can finally rest." I believed him. God help me. I trusted my son-in-law completely. Now I was pressed against this wall, listening to that same man plot my daughter's murder. $380,000, Mark, Gerald was saying. The house alone is worth $180. The bakery business brings in solid profit, another $200K in assets and equipment. The old woman signed it all to Roberta, and Roberta put my name on everything, because she trusts and loves me. Mark Reynolds, the lawyer, sounded impressed. And the timeline? I've been poisoning her for a month, Gerald said casually, like he was discussing the weather. Crushing arsenic tablets into her morning orange juice every single day. The doctors think it's some mystery autoimmune disease. They have no clue. Her kidneys are shutting down, liver's failing, and tonight I'll finish the job. How? Mark asked. Easy. When the night nurse does her rounds, I'll inject potassium chloride into her IV. Her heart stops within minutes. They'll rule cardiac arrest, secondary to organ failure. I'm the grieving widower with 2 traumatized stepdaughters. And everything becomes mine. Stepdaughters. He called Emma and Sophie stepdaughters. Those little girls who called him Daddy, who made him Father's Day cards, who trusted him completely. What about Eleanor? Mark pressed. The mother will cause problems. Gerald laughed. What's she going to do? She already gifted everything to Roberta. It's done, legal, irrevocable. When Roberta dies, I inherit everything as her spouse. Eleanor has 0 legal rights. She'll be broke, powerless, and alone, just like she was before her daddy's guilt money. You really never loved her? Mark sounded almost curious. The pause felt eternal. Then Gerald spoke, and each word was a knife. Love Roberta? She was a means to an end, Mark. I met her at that community college class 3 years ago, remember? She mentioned her estranged, rich family, how her grandfather was dying, how there might be an inheritance. I saw the opportunity. So you pursued her. I made her fall in love with me, Gerald said proudly. Poor, struggling Roberta, single mum working 2 jobs, raising 2 kids alone after her ex abandoned her. Here comes me, stable, employed, interested in her kids. She was so grateful someone wanted her whole package. Married me within 18 months. 18 months. Roberta met Gerald 3 years ago, right when my father got sick, right when reconciliation began, right when inheritance became possible. Smart, Mark said, playing the long game. The moment Eleanor transferred everything last year, I knew it was time. Gerald continued. But I had to be patient. I had to play a devoted husband and stepfather. I had to wait for the right moment, and now it's here. My hand was clamped over my mouth so hard I could taste blood. The man I welcomed into my family, the man I trusted with my daughter and granddaughters, had been planning this for 3 years. He married Roberta for money that didn't even exist yet. He waited, he pretended, he played us all. And now he was going to kill her. If you think this story is unbelievable, subscribe, because what happened next proves that truth really is stranger than fiction. And let me ask you this. Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to discover they were lying to you the whole time? Tell me in the comments, because I need to know I'm not the only one who was this blind. The doctor's hand steadied me as my knees buckled. I was shaking violently, tears streaming down my face. He guided me to a chair. Mrs. Patterson, I'm Dr. Kevin Flowers, he whispered. I've been treating Roberta for 6 weeks. Nothing made sense. Her symptoms, her labs, the rapid deterioration. Then I noticed her husband always brought her breakfast, always insisted on making her fresh orange juice. So devoted, everyone said. The poison, I whispered. He nodded grimly. I ran unauthorized tests on a cup he left behind. Arsenic. Consistent small doses designed to mimic organ failure. By the time I figured it out, she was too compromised to move safely. And I couldn't tell her. She's completely devoted to him. She'd never believe her husband is murdering her. My mind raced through everything. The mansion. My father's final apology. The home that represented reconciliation after 24 years of pain was in Roberta's name. The bakery business, 3 generations of Whitmore legacy, the thing my father begged me to preserve for my daughter, Roberta controlled it. And I told her to add Gerald to everything. He's your husband, sweetheart. He takes care of you and the girls. Make him co-owner. Partners share everything. What are my legal options? I asked, though I already knew. Dr. Flowers's expression confirmed my fears. The transfer was a gift, completed and recorded. As her spouse, he inherits unless we prove attempted murder before he acts tonight. Roberta will never believe me if I tell her. Which is why we caught him in the act, Dr. Flowers said. I've contacted Boston PD and hospital security. Detectives are positioning now. We've installed additional cameras in her room. When he touches that IV line tonight, we'll have him on video. But you must stay hidden. If he knows you're here, he'll abort. He'll wait. And your daughter doesn't have time for him to wait. Through the wall, Gerald was describing his plans, selling the mansion, liquidating the bakery business, taking Emma and Sophie to Disney World to help them grieve their mother while he drained their inheritance. Those babies, I whispered. He's planning to steal their mother's legacy while pretending to comfort them. Not if we stop him tonight, Dr. Flowers said firmly. Are you ready to do this? I thought about Emma asking me yesterday, Grandma, why is Mommy so sick? Will she get better? I thought about Sophie, only 9 years old, who had started having nightmares about losing her mother, like she lost her biological father. I thought about my father Charles in that hospice bed, gripping my hand. I can't get back the years I stole from you, Eleanor, but I can give you and Roberta security. Promise me you'll make sure she and those precious great-granddaughters never struggle like you did. I promised him. I gave Roberta everything to fulfill that promise. And Gerald was going to murder her for it, leaving Emma and Sophie orphaned and poor while he spent their inheritance. When do we move? I asked Dr. Flowers, steel in my voice now. He checked his tablet showing security feeds. Detectives are in position. The night nurse is briefed. She's one of ours. Gerald typically acts around 10 p.m. when corridor traffic is minimal. We have cameras on the IV station, on his hands, everything. The moment he touches that line, we have him. And if something goes wrong? If she... I couldn't finish. I have 23 years of emergency medicine experience, Dr. Flowers said quietly. I've been monitoring her vitals constantly. I won't let your daughter die, Mrs. Patterson. But we need this evidence to put him away and protect Emma and Sophie from him forever. I closed my eyes and saw Roberta at 6 months old in our tiny apartment. At 5 years old, sharing her school lunch with me because I had skipped meals to pay rent. At 15, accepting a scholarship to community college instead of the university she deserved. At 25, working 2 jobs while raising 2 babies alone after her ex left. At 41, crying happy tears when I handed her the mansion keys. Mum, you gave up everything for me. You worked yourself to exhaustion. And now Grandpa's gift means I can finally take care of you. Emma and Sophie will grow up with security, with legacy, with everything we never had. Gerald was trying to steal that, trying to murder my daughter and rob my granddaughters of their future. Not in my life. Subscribe now, because what happens next will leave you speechless. The trap was set, the cameras were rolling, and Gerald had no idea we were watching his every move. And here's my question. If you were in my position, could you stay silent and wait? Or would the urge to burst in and save your child be too strong? Comment below, because the next few hours were the longest of my entire life. At 9:47 p.m., Gerald stood up. On Dr. Flowers' tablet, I watched him kiss Roberta's forehead, smooth her hair, whisper something tender. Then his hand slid into his jacket pocket and emerged with a small syringe. "Now," Dr. Flowers said into his radio. The door crashed open. Plainclothes detectives, uniformed officers, hospital security flooded in. Gerald whirled around, syringe in hand, and his face cycled through shock, calculation, then pure terror. They took him down hard. The syringe skittered across the floor, potassium chloride gleaming in the harsh hospital lights. "You don't understand," Gerald screamed as they cuffed him. "She's dying anyway. I was just helping her. This is mercy." Through the tablet, I watched them haul him out, still screaming excuses. Dr. Flowers squeezed my shoulder. "It's over. Go see your daughter." I walked into room 312 on trembling legs. Roberta was awake, staring at the chaos, confused and frightened. When she saw me, relief flooded her face. "Mum? What just happened? Why did they arrest Gerald?" I sat beside her, took her hand, and told her everything. The poisoning, the conspiracy, the 18-month con, the plan to murder her and steal the inheritance meant for her and her daughters. I watched my daughter's world shatter. 15 months of marriage revealed as calculated fraud. The man she trusted with her children, with her life, with her legacy, he was her murderer. "The girls," she gasped, tears streaming. "Oh God, Mum. I let him around Emma and Sophie. I trusted him with my babies." "They're safe," I told her firmly. "They're at my house with Mrs. Flowers. They don't know anything yet. And Gerald will never touch them again." "The house? The business? Everything Grandpa left us?" "The police found everything. The arsenic in his car, search histories, emails with Mark Reynolds planning your death. It's fraud, attempted murder, conspiracy. The transfers are voidable. We'll fight to get it back." But sitting there, holding my daughter's hand, watching colour slowly return to her poisoned face, I realised something. My father's real legacy wasn't the money or the property. It was a reconciliation, second chances, the ability to admit mistakes and fight to fix them. I gave up wealth and family at 20 for my daughter. My father gave me back that wealth at 64 to make amends. Roberta almost died because of it, but she was alive. And Dr. Flowers, that mysterious doctor who made me hide and wait, who made me hear the unbearable truth, he saved everything that truly mattered. "Mum," Roberta whispered, squeezing my hand weakly. "I'm so sorry. I almost let him take everything Grandpa wanted us to have." "You're alive," I told her, kissing her forehead. "You're here for Emma and Sophie. That's all that matters. That's all Grandpa really wanted, for us to be together, for his great-granddaughters to know their mother. The inheritance could be recovered. The legacy could be rebuilt. But my daughter's life? That was irreplaceable. And I would spend whatever time I had left making sure Emma and Sophie grew up knowing exactly what their mother survived, and how much their great-grandfather loved them, even before he met them. If this story moved you, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Justice was served that night, but the scars of betrayal run deep. And let me ask you this. Do you believe people can truly change? Or do you think Gerald was always a monster hiding behind a smile? Leave your thoughts in the comments, because stories like these remind us that sometimes the people closest to us are the ones we should watch most carefully.